Now, all of this taking place, of course, as part of the battle for 2022, second phase ending in Uttar Pradesh. Campaigning, though, will continue now with the focus on Punjab, which goes to the polls over the weekend, and then 5 more rounds in the key state of Uttar Pradesh. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Punjab today, targeting the Congress over the party's stand on Pulwama. In UP, Yogi Adityanath was raising the hijab row. And in Punjab again, it was Rahul Gandhi who was taking up this issue of saying that the state was not a place to engage in experimentation, a clear hint at the rising fortunes of the Aam Aadmi Party. So how are the political contenders placed? In a moment, I'll have the 5 X factors to give you. But first, take a look at our top story.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi makes his first visit to battleground Punjab after the security breach that forced him to return without attending a rally last month. Wearing a saffron turban, Prime Minister Modi lashed out at the Congress, pitching national security as a big election issue. On the anniversary of the Pulwama terror attack that killed 40 CRPF jawans in 2019, the Prime Minister accused the Congress of parroting Pakistan's voice.
ये वही लोग हैं जो सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक पर सेना से सबूत मांग रहे थे, पाकिस्तान के सुर में सुर मिला रहे थे। साथियों, ये कैसे लोग हैं?
The Prime Minister's attack came on the second day of voting in elections 2022. 55 seats of UP saw polling on Monday. In 9 of them, the Muslim vote is decisive. UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, facing a stiff challenge from the Umbrella Caste Alliance stitched together by Akhilesh Yadav, has termed it a 80 versus 20 election, evidently a reference to the Hindu and Muslim populations of the state. On Monday, he spoke out on the hijab controversy in Karnataka.
ये नया भारत संविधान के अनुरूप चलेगा, शरीयत के अनुरूप नहीं। और मैं इस बात को भी स्पष्टता के साथ कह सकता हूं, गजवाए हिंद का सपना कयामत के दिन तक भी साकार नहीं होगा।
SP Chief Akhilesh Yadav has hit out at the BJP, saying the Chief Minister is unnerved by the prospect of losing.
हमारे मुख्यमंत्री वो कह रहे गर्मी निकाल देंगे, लेकिन जब से पहले चरण का चुनाव हुआ है, इनके नेता कार्यकर्ता ठंडे हो गए हैं।
Goa and Uttarakhand, the states where the two national parties are virtually in a direct face-off, have sealed their verdict in this phase. The wildcard entry in these elections could be the Aam Aadmi Party. Aam Aadmi Party, which is in the power race in Punjab, is also contesting in Goa and Uttarakhand. The party led by Arvind Kejriwal could be a decisive X-factor in elections 2022. Bureau Report, India Today.
And the X factors of the battle for 2022 then. Will anti-incumbency hurt ruling parties' MLAs? Remember, BJP in power in 4 of these 5 states. X factor number 2, minority consolidation, whether it's the Catholics in Goa or Muslims in UP. How will that play out? X factor number 3, will Mr. Modi and the double engine factor help the BJP? The fact that Mr. Modi's popularity is still seen to be high in most of these states. X factor number 4, has the Congress got its poll strategy wrong, especially in the crucial state of Punjab, where there's a war within at the top? And X factor number 5, what is the role of the Aam Aadmi Party in these elections? Spoiler or a contender for power in at least 3 of these 5 states going to the polls? Joining me now, Sanjay Kumar, one of the country's leading psephologists from CSDS. Jasmine Shah is Vice Chairperson of the Dialogue and Development Commission, Government of NCT with the Aam Aadmi Party. Supriya Srinath is Congress spokesperson. Syed Zafar Islam is BJP MP. I'm going to go one X factor by X factor. I want to come to you, Sanjay Kumar, first, because you can give us the big picture. I've listed 5 X factors. Is there anyone that stands out for you that you believe is critical? Because different states vote differently. But is there a common theme that you're already seeing in these elections?
If there is one common theme, because Rajdeep, we should remember that out of these 5 states which goes to poll, there are 4 states, the ruling party is the BJP. So I think the common theme spreading across all the 5 states would be, what is the level of dissatisfaction of the people with the BJP as a ruling party in all these 4 states? Are people really concerned about the price rise? Are people really worried about unemployment? Because this is the theme which cuts across people, across caste community, across region and across state. Whether people are going to vote on this issue or
what's your poll analysis? Sorry, what's your poll analysis said so far, Sanjay? You've done an opinion poll. What is broadly your poll analysis said? Are these issues price rise, unemployment, COVID, or are people still having faith in the leadership of Mr. Modi, even though this is a state election?
Rajdeep, first, we have not done any opinion poll with regard to these elections, but we did an opinion poll in the month of January, which was not connected to these 5 state elections.
Right.
But we do get a sense from whatever studies which we are doing that yes, price rise and unemployment is a big issue which concerns people across, different caste community, regions, etc. But are these twin issues a deciding factor in shaping people's voting decision? That correlation we don't find, because people are worried about unemployment, people are worried about price rise. But when it comes to Prime Minister Modi, his appeal, his image as the Prime Minister, or or their likeness to vote for BJP, they're voting for BJP, if the people who are not voting for BJP, they are not voting for BJP because they are worried about unemployment and price rise. They are not voting BJP for some other factor. Right. The point I'm trying to say is that these twin issues cuts across all the 4 states, but this is not a dominant issue on which people are going to vote in any of these issues. The issues from state to state are very, very different.
Very interesting that the common theme seems to be price rise and unemployment, but not necessarily the base on which people will vote. Let me therefore turn to that first X factor, and Syed Zafar Islam, you need to respond to this, because anti-incumbency, we've seen over the years, it's mixed. We've seen Bengal government returning strongly, Bihar Nitish's government returning 2 years ago. However, this time it appears that at least 3 of your 5 governments are seen to be vulnerable. Most polls suggesting you're vulnerable in Goa, vulnerable in Uttarakhand, vulnerable in Manipur. And the common theme is dissatisfaction with the state government's handling of issues in this pandemic period. How do you respond? Are you all worried about anti-incumbency or not?
Well, Rahul, Rajdeep, there is no concern of these issues which you have highlighted, X factor, whatever it is. The issue of price rise, the issue of other issues which you have highlighted is not at all an issue for the voters, because these are not issues. They exist only in opposition camp and in the television, because if you see last 5 years or 7 years since our government is there, the consumer price index, the average if you take, compare with the UPA government, you will find the difference that we are at least 300 basis points better than what the UPA average was.
Sorry to intervene, sir. You're talking in comparison.
People are very comfortable.
Sir, just a minute. You're saying it's better off than what they were in UPA years. But the fact is today, consumer price and retail price index just gone above 6% above the RBI's comfort level.
I know.
More importantly, in all these 5 states, sir, the data shows the number of people employed have actually gone down in the last 5 years. The highest being in Uttarakhand and the highest in percentage terms being in Goa. Does that not worry you?
Well, Rajdeep, you will be surprised once the result is out, because on 10th March, you will find that we have been able to repeat a comfortable majority in Goa, in Manipur, Uttarakhand. Of course, in UP, we will repeat our performance. It will be a repeat performance in every state. And we will surprise you in Punjab as well.
I'm taping this. I'm taping Syed Zafar Islam, bhai. Syed Zafar Islam, I'm taping this and I'm going to play this again on the 10th of March.
how many times we have proven you wrong? How many times we have proven you wrong, Rajdeep? And primarily because of the confidence we have been able to enjoy of the voters, and we have been able to serve them in last 7 years, and they are extremely comfortable with Bharatiya Janata Party.
Okay,
so let me tell you one thing. People are speculating that whether we will be able to repeat our performance in Uttar Pradesh or not. Let me tell you very candidly that we will not get only 300. We will repeat and may go beyond 327 along with our allies in 2022 election result.
Okay, that's very. You're sounding very upbeat.
In Goa as well as Uttarakhand.
Okay, you're sounding very upbeat, sir. You obviously know something that many of us don't.
Because of the feedback which we have from the ground.
Okay, let Supriya Srinath respond, because Supriya Srinath, here you've got a very confident BJP claiming that they will repeat what they did 5 years ago in UP and indeed in other states. There's one thing to have anti-incumbency, but as Sanjay Kumar says, it's not always necessary that the anti-incumbency translates into support for the opposition. There was anti-incumbency in Bihar, but you were not able to form a government. So the ability of the opposition to capitalize on the anti-incumbency still remains a big question mark.
So thank you for having me on the panel. And I think the one thing that Zafar Islam, my friend, has done is he's spoken truth for the very first time in his opening statement when he said these are issues of no concern. Absolutely. Price rise, unemployment, exploitation of farmers. This is not an issue of concern to the BJP at all, and which is why they're doing nothing about it. Like you said, forget about retail inflation. These are just numbers. Ask him whether it's petrol, diesel, LPG, aate ka dam, chai ki patti ka dam, sabun, tel. Look at where prices are today. I mean, the price of common flour that we use at home has tripled under the Modi government. But that said, I feel sorry for Zafar Islam when he has to justify wrong things. And I'll tell you why he has to justify wrong things. He spoke about CPI being well within the range. Doesn't CPI compare with real rate of growth? What is the rate of growth under you? You halved growth before Corona, and with Corona it slipped into the negative territory thanks to your mismanagement. We were the worst performing economy in the world in large economies. Forget about that. Rajdeep, there are 94 crore people in this country in the working age population. 52 crore people seek employment. This government that promised 2 crore jobs every year now turns around and says, no, we can only give you 12 lakh jobs every year. So from 2 crore, it's a fall to 12 lakh every year because they say 60 lakh over 5 years. This is their promise. The reality is that BJP MPs and BJP MLAs are being turned away. गांवों में घुस नहीं पा रहे हैं लोग मुर्दाबाद के नारे लगा रहे हैं उत्तर प्रदेश में चाहे वो वेस्ट हो या ईस्ट हो
Supriya Srinath, will that influence voter preferences? As Sanjay Kumar says, price rise is an issue, unemployment is an issue, COVID distress may be an issue, but will people's voting preferences be decided on that?
I'm absolutely certain about it. If the two phases in UP are anything to go by, the BJP is going to eat the humble pie, and how in Uttar Pradesh. This false bravado that Zafar Islam is putting here is good to put up in television studios, but the BJP is going to be routed in Uttar Pradesh. That I can tell you in writing today. And the reality is, Mungeri Lal ke haseen sapne dekhne ka sabko hak hai. और वही कर रहे हैं जफर भाई. But the reality is that the ground has slipped from under their feet. Unemployment and price rise are huge concerns. How they have treated the farmers is the other big concern in Uttar Pradesh. They can live in denial.
Okay, I want to come to the next X factor, and then Zafar Islam, you can respond before I go to the AAP representative, because the question, Zafar Islam, is double engine ki sarkar. I keep saying this is a potential X factor. The fact that you're relying on Prime Minister Modi to pull you up. We've seen since 2019, the BJP suffers a decline of 10 to 12% in state elections where Mr. Modi is not on the ticket. Are you still relying, would you agree, on Mr. Modi more than your chief ministers to offset anti-incumbency?
See, first let me respond to Supriya Srinath. Supriya was saying that, as I said, that we will have a repeat performance on what we had in 2017. And she will have a repeat, for one certainty is there. She will have a repeat performance what they had in West Bengal, a big zero. In Uttar Pradesh and elsewhere, what she is talking about, that there will be a complete rout for BJP. In fact, it is the other way around. where Congress will have absolutely zero seat in Uttar Pradesh. Away from that, let me tell you the question which you asked. If you ask a common man on the street, go into the village, go ask anyone on the street, whether it's a city or in the village, about Mr. Modi and about Mr. Yogi. You'll find that they have a lot of regard, respect for these two gentlemen, both for the Prime Minister as well as the Chief Minister, because they have been able to deliver what they have promised. Today, people are happy. Okay. You are picking issues which are not an issue, because these are issues which you have concocted. You are concocting.
Unemployment is a concocted issue.
Picking up these
price
issues,
rise
but
is
the real issues.
Are they concocted price? Price rise, unemployment are concocted issues?
Let me tell you, what is this? Let me tell you, Rajdeep. See, that's why I said, why you're looking at retail inflation today. You have to see last 7.5 years. We have been able to maintain below 4.5%, while it was 7.92% average of 10 years of UPA. And also, you have to also understand that Congress is claiming as if we were getting petrol for one rupee, dollar was equal to 1 rupee during their regime, or everything we were getting free of cost. The price with inflation, every year price has to go up a little bit. And
sir, the fact is that even when global oil prices were low, the price of fuel was over 100. But sir, we can endlessly debate. I have to go to the next X factor.
I
can't let you, sir. I've given you enough time.
Last answer, 10 seconds.
Yeah, you've had enough time. Let's move to the next X factor.
10 seconds.
What is the
yes, you're talking about employment. You're talking about employment. You're talking about employment. See, EPF number, which is the white collar job, a payroll, at least you have certainty because we are not speculating. 1 million job every month. That's EPF payroll.
I can answer that for you,
What does that suggest? That we are creating enough job.
Okay, let Supriya very quickly.
Yeah,
Supriya,
just a minute. To your people,
no, ma'am. Now, Zafar, you finish your Supriya very quickly, and then I must move on to Jasmine. Yes.
But that is exactly the root of the problem, that the BJP wants to live in denial about existing fault lines. Joblessness, unemployment is a real issue. It's impacting our people. You quote the EPFO data, and Zafar, you know this better than me, that if you employ 19 people, you don't have to register with the EPFO. But the moment you have 20 employees, you have to register. वो 19 job नई नहीं है, वो पुरानी थी. आप उसको नया बना के प्रस्तुत मत करिए. 84% of this country is earning less than what they were earning. You want to live in denial? Be my guest.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, no more face-off. We must move to the next X factor. Next X factor. Next X factor is the Aam Aadmi Party. Is it a spoiler or a contender? Remember, Aam Aadmi Party appears to be a contender in Punjab as per opinion polls, but it could be a spoiler crucially in Goa and Uttarakhand, small states with small margins. Jasmine, before I come to you, I want you to listen into what your leader Arvind Kejriwal told me in Goa, because I want to understand what is the Aam Aadmi Party's strategy as we are entering now Punjab, the critical state for you. Listen into what he said.
Would I be right in saying that for the Aam Aadmi Party, you want to be king in Punjab, you want to be a spoiler in Uttarakhand, and you are hoping that in the 40-seat Goa Assembly, you will be the kingmaker? Is that the goal of the Aam Aadmi Party in this 2022 election?
राजदीप, चुनावों में हार जीत तो लगी रहती है. हमारे लिए वो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि 7 साल दिल्ली में शासन करने के बाद सबसे पहले हमने देश की सबसे ईमानदार सरकार दी है दिल्ली के अंदर. लोगों को लगता नहीं था कि सरकारें भी ईमानदार हो सकती है. हमने दिल्ली के सरकारी स्कूल ठीक कर दिए. लोगों को लगता नहीं था कि सरकारी स्कूल ठीक हो सकते हैं. हमने सरकारी अस्पताल ठीक कर दिए. लोगों को लगता नहीं था सरकारी अस्पताल ठीक हो सकते हैं. हमने दिल्ली में
So you've got Arvind Kejriwal claiming he's going to export the Delhi model to these states. But as we've seen, Jasmine Shah, each state is very different. I want to understand, what is the Aam Aadmi Party's role in this election? Because you're still not telling us, A, who's your enemy number one, Congress or BJP?
Rajdeep, it's very interesting. In each of these states that we are fighting, what we encountered is accumulated anger of the people of Goa, of Uttarakhand. We even fought UP elections. because, BJP and Congress can debate endlessly. But in reality, our country has faced decades of neglect. People had given up hope that government schools can be improved upon. Government school students can perform better than private schools, until the Aam Aadmi Party did that and showed that it can be done in 5 years in Delhi. We've improved clinics, we've improved the entire healthcare system, 24/7 electricity. Even in Delhi, you didn't have that 5 years back. So when we went to the people of Goa and the people of Uttarakhand, for the first time, there was a conversation of hope. There was a conversation of change. And that credibility today only the Aam Aadmi Party commands.
But who's your target number one? Is it, as many suspect, the Congress whose space you want to occupy, or are you taking on the Modi government? Because Arvind Kejriwal has only mentioned Mr. Modi's name thrice in about 38 speeches.
Rajdeep, for us, we are not here because we want to defeat BJP or Congress. We are here because we want to change the face of the states that we are fighting in. Uttarakhand has been going through decades of neglect. Goa has been going through a complete loot and scam. Ask the Congress spokesperson here that what explains the fact that 16 out of their 17 MLAs that won election last time decided to sell themselves off in an open market and switch over to BJP.
Right.
So there was absolutely no face with which they could go to the people of Goa. We are fighting to give hope. We are fighting to give a better future for the children of families living in these states. And we are not here to play arithmetic games कि किसका कितना काटना है, कितनी सीट यहाँ से चोरी करके इसको ले जानी है. No, we are here. If people have faith in what we have done in Delhi and our credibility, and you must have seen that our CM candidates today demand unparalleled credibility. They are honest.
Sir, you say that, but
differentiates up from all the other traditional parties.
Sir, I might just add for our viewers, almost a third of your candidates in Punjab have come, or maybe even more, 40% have come from Akalis or the Congress. Some of them have criminal records. So, let's not, can AAP take the moral high ground is a big question at the moment.
Well, Rajdeep, nobody is selling or buying any of the candidates. If good people by their own will want to come to AAP because they see the only hope for the country and for the streets in AAP, then they are welcome.
Okay,
but that doesn't mean that Congress MLAs can start switching the moment they fall short by a few seats. They start selling themselves openly and brazenly. I mean, this kind of politics the country has never seen. And the people of Goa will answer this. Today the votes have been polled. Let's wait for 10th March and you will be in for a big surprise.
Supriya Shine, very quickly. No, 1 minute. Supriya Shine, you're smiling, but the fact is, let's be clear. The Congress is afraid of the Aam Aadmi Party. Mr. Channi seems to be targeting AAP every day in Punjab. You're clearly seeing it as a rising force there. And I know from my sources in Goa that you're worried that the AAP is breaking into the Congress vote. How worried are you about the rising influence of AAP in this election?
I don't even know why you would say that we are worried, because quite frankly, I wanted to ask my good friend here from the Aam Aadmi Party, are you really contesting elections in Uttarakhand? Name me 5 candidates of yours. मैं वहीं पे बात खत्म कर दूंगी. The reality is that even in your answer, forget about the fact that in 38 rallies, Mr. Kejriwal chose not to even name the Prime Minister. But even in your studio, the Aam Aadmi Party only chooses to attack the Congress. So be it. But the reality is, you have been pulled up by courts repeatedly for what you're doing in Delhi, for the sham that you talk about. Uttarakhand mein aap nisto naboot hain. You want to talk about Goa? Let's talk about Goa. I want to understand from you, what are you going to do for Goa? Because we are actually promising them development. We are not making false promises. We are not telling people, मैं बनिया हूँ, कभी मैं कुछ हूँ, आप तो अब इस पे उतर आए हैं. The reality also is, and Rajdeep, I would want to put it on record here, in Punjab, when you say that we see them as a force, no, we do not. But because the Akalis and BJP are completely missing in action and they will be routed, obviously AAP is a player there.
Okay.
But I'm absolutely confident that come the 10th of March, AAP as well as the BJP will have to eat the humble pie. I think Mr. Kejriwal,
Jasmine, quick response before I go to Sanjay Kumar.
Delhi mein reh ke thoda aur kaam kare.
This is the arrogance.
Can I just come in for 10 seconds?
Supriya, you've spoken.
Rajdeep, this is the arrogance with which Aam Aadmi Party was spoken to by the Congress in Delhi in 2013. You will mind those words that the Congress leaders were saying, that aap to koi factor hi nahi hai, aap to race mein bhi nahi hai. So now let's leave it to the people. Today, the reality is that the only party that is talking and setting a positive agenda, be it about schools, healthcare, about women, about youth, who's talking about employment, about industry, about agriculture. It is the Aam Aadmi Party. The
Okay,
traditional parties
By telling
are,
us,
are
Lavanya,
only
let
what
Sanjay-
interested
positive
in
agenda are
buying
you
and
setting
trading
up?
of MLAs,
I
and
would
that's
want
the
to know.
reality.
You
Okay,
don't even
no,
have
no,
the
no,
guts
Supriya
or the
Shrinet,
courage to name
Supriya
the
Shrinet,
Rajdeep, can I
managing
just come in for 10
Supriya
seconds?
Shrinet, you've been heard.
VP of
Sanjay
the
Kumar,
BJP.
1 minute. Sanjay Kumar,
Rajdeep.
do you see, I'll come to you, Zafar, in a moment. Sanjay Kumar, do you believe that this election is primarily Congress versus BJP, or in at least 2.5? I'm using Uttarakhand as half because AAP is just making its debut there. Is there a factor of this anti-BJP vote getting divided, or AAP becoming an alternative now?
No, Rajdeep, different states have different electoral contests. If you talk about Punjab, it's not Aam Aadmi, it is Aam Aadmi Party versus Congress, and BJP is nowhere there in the electoral contest. But if you move to Uttarakhand, I think it is still a direct contest between Congress and BJP. And in my opinion, Aam Aadmi Party is playing a role of the spoiler, and the spoiler mainly for the Congress. Because if Aam Aadmi Party was not contesting election in Uttarakhand, all the anti-BJP votes, people who were dissatisfied with the BJP's 5 years rule, most of those votes would have gone to Congress. And in my opinion, Congress would have registered a decent victory in Uttarakhand. But Aam Aadmi Party is playing a role of the spoiler mainly for Congress. If we move over to Goa, I think Goa is a very messy picture. And when I say messy, not in a very, very negative sense, but yes, multi-cornered contest. Trinamool Congress has also put up candidates. Aam Aadmi Party is contesting far more seriously in Goa compared to their presence we would witness in Uttarakhand. So Aam Aadmi Party might win a couple of seats in Goa. Very difficult to say at this moment. But I think the presence of Aam Aadmi Party in Goa is going to be much sizable compared to Uttarakhand.
Right.
And the multi-cornered contest in Goa between Trinamool Congress, BJP, Congress and Aam Aadmi Party has made the electoral contest interesting in Goa as well.
Okay, let me therefore get a final X factor in very quickly, which is minority consolidation. Syed Zafar Islam, Goa Catholic population 25%, and we've seen large voting across many of these constituencies with large Catholic populations. We've seen decent voting today in large constituencies with large Muslim populations. Is that a worry? Or do you believe that's the BJP's, is there a limit this election is going to show to the saturation that the BJP has? Let's go for the majority vote, because there could be a minority backlash, especially in states like Goa, where last time you got the Catholic vote, this time the feeling is you lose that vote.
Rajdeep, first of all,
very quickly,
my
please.
friend Supriya, unknowingly, she admitted something. She has accepted something unknowingly, but which all of them deny, all the Congress people deny, that they used to give false hopes and false promises to voters, and they have changed. They are a changed lot. They don't no longer give false hope, but voters are not willing to buy that argument because they still feel because they have burned their fingers time and again for several years. That's why they are not willing to listen to them. Away from that, what you're talking about, the minority vote, see, we enjoy the confidence and support of every single section of the society. So we are not overly concerned about X or Y because we have served every section of the society, be it Catholic, Muslim, or any other section of the society. So we are not overly concerned.
Okay.
We do not see voters as they have different faith. We see what we have done for them, and without any concern, we go back to them because we have served.
Okay, I need to go to Sanjay Kumar for just 30 seconds. Sanjay, I'm going to ask you very quickly, who's the front runner in each state? Go state by state. Goa, you said it's a mess. Am I correct?
Yes,
poll will decide.
I see Goa in a
Okay,
sense,
Uttarakhand.
very difficult for any party to get a majority, I believe.
Uttarakhand.
It is a very close contest between BJP and Congress. Except for 2017
Who has
elections,
the edge?
early elections were close contest. I think it is going to be again a close contest between Congress and BJP in Uttarakhand.
Has anybody got the edge there, Congress or BJP?
Very difficult, Rajdeep. It's very difficult to say which party is ahead.
Okay, Punjab.
Punjab, again, we are not doing any exit poll. We have not done any opinion poll based on whatever we are hearing and my field visit. I think Aam Aadmi Party has an edge over its rival.
Okay.
Whether Aam Aadmi Party will get a majority or not, that's the only question.
Uttar
But I think
Pradesh?
Uttar Pradesh, again, a tight contest. 5 phases still to go. 2 phases. And different phases would have different kinds of contest. So I think we should hold on for few more days, maybe few more weeks before I stick my neck out and say party A or party B. Very difficult at this point.
Okay, and finally Manipur.
Manipur again candidate. I think the
Post poll.
Going by, close call, but I think maybe going by the defection, the kind of defection which has taken place, slight edge, maybe BJP may be having slight edge in Manipur over Congress.
Let's leave it there. It's very early. Remember, this is only round 2. It's a 7-phase election and things can change.
Even more committed answers than Sanjay ji.
No, that's okay, ma'am. You're a politician. You will give committed answers. I'm tempted to give my answers, and I actually believe that I have a fair idea what's going to happen in 3 of the 5 states.
Supriya,
I have a fair idea, but I will not share it with viewers because it will go viral what I was about to say. So I'm not going to get into that trap of committing who's winning. But thank you all very much for joining me. I wish all of you the very best. May the voters win, especially in my home state of Goa. May Goa win at the end of the day.